Maya sat quietly in the corner of the grand wedding hall. The place sparkled with gold lights, laughter, and music. Everything looked perfect, the kind of day her family had always dreamed of. But inside Maya's chest, her heart ached. She watched her younger sister, Lila, walk down the aisle in a beautiful white dress, glowing with happiness. Everyone clapped and smiled. Maya tried to smile too, but it felt heavy, fake. Behind that calm face, she carried a secret that tore her apart. She was 4 months pregnant. And the father? Gone. He had left her the moment he found out. Only Lila knew. At least, that's what Maya believed. When the ceremony ended, the crowd moved to the reception hall filled with bright chandeliers and laughter. Glasses clinked. The music played softly in the background. Maya sat quietly at her table, hands trembling under the tablecloth, praying no one would notice her sadness. Then Lila stood up with the microphone. Her smile was wide and sweet, but her eyes held something cold. "Before we toast," Lila said, her voice cheerful but sharp, "I think my sister has an announcement of her own." The room went quiet. People looked around, curious. Some even lifted their phones to record. Maya's heart stopped. She shook her head slightly, whispering, "Lila, please don't." But Lila only smiled wider. "Congratulations, Maya," she said, her tone dripping with fake sweetness. "You're about to be a mommy." The music stopped. Gasps filled the air. Maya's eyes widened. The ground seemed to disappear beneath her feet. Her hands turned cold. Every face in the room turned toward her, judgmental, shocked, whispering. Someone dropped a fork. A few people began to murmur, "She's pregnant?" Maya felt her throat tighten. She wanted to run, but her body wouldn't move. Her secret, the one thing she was trying so hard to hide, had just been thrown into the open by her own sister. Tears filled her eyes, but she forced herself not to cry. Not here, not now. Lila handed the mic back to the DJ as if nothing had happened and raised her glass for a toast. The crowd stayed silent. Maya stood frozen in place, her world falling apart in front of hundreds of people. Two close sisters grew up in a small Nigerian American home filled with love, noise, and the smell of their mother's cooking. Maya, the older one, was quiet and gentle. She loved reading, helping in the kitchen, and taking care of everyone. Lila, on the other hand, was bold, outspoken, and always wanted to shine. Their parents adored Lila's confidence. She was the golden child, the one who always won awards, got praised at family gatherings, and made their parents proud. Maya didn't mind. She was happy being in the background, cheering her sister on. Whenever Lila got into trouble or had her heart broken, Maya was there, holding her, listening, and reminding her that everything would be okay. But as they grew older, something between them began to change. Lila's success grew faster, while Maya lived quietly, working at a small firm and saving money for her future. Their parents still compared them, often saying things like, "Why can't you be more like your sister, Maya?" She never argued. She just smiled and nodded, pretending it didn't hurt. When Maya fell in love for the first time, she thought she had finally found someone who saw her, not as Lila's sister, but as herself. He was kind at first, always promising her a future. But when she found out she was pregnant, everything changed. He left her the moment she told him. No calls, no messages, just silence. Broken and scared, Maya turned to the only person she trusted, Lila. But instead of comfort, Lila looked at her with disgust. "You've ruined yourself," she said coldly. "Don't expect me to clean up your mess." Those words cut deep. Maya cried all night, realizing that the sister who once held her hand through pain now looked at her with shame. From that day, Maya decided to keep her pregnancy a secret from everyone, even their parents. It was also around that time that Lila got engaged to Derek, a tall, charming man with a warm smile and calm voice. He had a way of making everyone around him feel seen, including Maya. He always spoke to her kindly at family dinners, asking about her work, her dreams, her favorite books. Nothing inappropriate, just kind. But Lila noticed. She saw the way Derek's eyes softened when Maya spoke, and deep down it bothered her. Over time, Lila's jealousy grew. Even though Maya did nothing wrong, she felt like Maya, the quiet one, was stealing pieces of her spotlight, pieces of the life she worked hard for. So when she found out Maya was pregnant, something dark shifted inside her. It was her chance to show everyone who the real sister was, to remind Maya of her place. Behind her perfect wedding smile, Lila was planning her moment. Now back in the present, inside the shining wedding hall, Maya stands in front of hundreds of eyes. Her heart beats fast as whispers fill the air. She can feel every stare, some pitying, some cruel. Her hands shake, her lips tremble, and she wishes she could disappear. She never wanted this. Not her secret revealed, not this humiliation. She only wanted her sister's happiness. But Lila, the sister she once adored, had turned her deepest pain into a public show. And now, Maya realizes that the bond they once shared as little girls in that small family home may never be the same again. Maya ran out of the hall, her eyes full of tears. The cold night air hit her face, but she could barely breathe. Her heart pounded in her chest, and her whole body shook from shame and shock. Behind her, she heard footsteps, quick and steady. It was Derek. He followed her outside, his face tense, but he didn't come to comfort her. His voice was low, almost shaking as he asked, "Is it true?" Maya froze. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Yes." Derek looked away, his jaw tight. He ran his hand through his hair, breathing hard. Then, after a few seconds, he asked something that made Maya's stomach twist. "You didn't tell her who the father is, did you?" Maya frowned in confusion. What do you mean?" Derek's eyes darted around nervously. He didn't answer right away. That silence, that guilty silence, told Maya everything she needed to know. Before she could say another word, the door to the hall burst open. Lila stormed out, her white gown brushing the floor, her face full of anger. "Derek," she shouted, "why did you leave the reception? Everyone's waiting for us." Her eyes moved from Derek to Maya, then back again. The tension between them hung heavy in the air. Lila's face changed. Her anger slowly turned into suspicion. "Why are you two out here alone?" she asked, her voice shaking. Derek opened his mouth, but no words came out. He looked pale, guilty, caught. And in that moment, Maya understood. Her heart stopped. The pieces fit together. His nervousness, his strange question, his guilty eyes. Derek wasn't just worried. He was hiding something. He was the father of her baby. The realization hit Maya like a punch to the stomach. The world around her began to spin. A memory flashed in her mind. That night months ago when Lila and Derek had a terrible fight. Lila had thrown him out, and he showed up at Maya's apartment, drunk and heartbroken. He had told her how lonely he felt, how he didn't know if he could marry Lila. Maya, feeling sorry for him, had tried to calm him down. But the night went wrong. One thing led to another. She had cried afterward, full of guilt and confusion. Derek had begged her to forget it ever happened, promising it would never come out. Maya hated herself for it, but she kept the secret. She thought it would destroy everyone if the truth came out. And now, standing outside that wedding hall, the truth was staring her in the face. Lila's eyes narrowed as she looked at both of them. "What's going on here?" she demanded. Maya couldn't speak. Derek looked away. Tears filled Maya's eyes again. She wanted to run, to hide, to wake up and find out this was all just a nightmare. But it wasn't. The man marrying her sister, the man everyone saw as perfect, was the same man who had ruined her life. And the worst part was, she still hadn't told Lila. Derek tried to speak to Maya privately after the chaos. His voice was calm but tense. "I'll handle it," he said, avoiding her eyes. "Just don't say anything for now, please." Maya stood there, trembling. She wanted to scream, to ask him how he could say that so easily, but she couldn't. Her words got stuck in her throat. "Handle it," she whispered. "You ruined everything, Derek. You ruined my life, and hers." He looked around nervously, afraid someone might hear. "Maya, please, don't make this worse. I'll fix it. I promise." But deep down, Maya knew there was no way to fix what had happened. There was no going back. That night, she went home and sat on her bed, staring at her small suitcase in the corner. She wanted to leave the city, disappear before anyone else found out. She didn't care about her job, her apartment, or even the shame. She just wanted peace. But peace wouldn't come. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Lila's smiling face at the wedding, the guests' shocked expressions, and Derek's guilty eyes. Meanwhile, Lila couldn't rest either. She felt something was deeply wrong. Derek was distant, quiet, and tense. Whenever Maya's name came up, he changed the subject or left the room. One evening, Lila caught him staring at his phone looking worried. When she asked what was wrong, he mumbled something about work, but she saw the way his hands shook, and that told her everything. Her instincts screamed that Maya had something to do with it. The next morning, Lila decided to visit Maya's apartment. She didn't call ahead. She just showed up. Maya opened the door, her face pale and tired. "Lila," she whispered. "What are you doing here?" Lila pushed her way inside without answering. Her eyes scanned the room, small, simple, and quiet. Then she turned sharply toward Maya. "I know something happened," Lila said, her voice low but shaking. "Tell me the truth." Maya froze. "What are you talking about?" Lila stepped closer. "Don't play innocent. I saw the way Derek looked at you. The way he followed you out of the hall. The way you both acted." Maya's lips trembled. "Lila, please. Just say it." Lila shouted. "Say what you did." Tears filled Maya's eyes. "It was a mistake," she cried. "I never meant for it to happen. I swear I didn't." Lila's face twisted in disbelief. "A mistake? You slept with my husband and call it a mistake?" Her voice grew louder, breaking with pain and rage. "You are disgusting, Maya. You were jealous of me your whole life, and now you've destroyed everything I had." Maya shook her head, sobbing. "No, Lila, that's not true. He came to me that night. You two had fought, and he showed up drunk and broken. I tried to help him. I told him to leave. Stop lying." Lila screamed, her voice echoing through the apartment. "You wanted him. You've always wanted what I have." Their mother, who had come by unexpectedly to drop off food, heard the shouting from outside. She rushed in, panicked. "What is going on here?" she asked, looking between her daughters. Neither answered. Maya's face was red and wet with tears. Lila's hands shook with fury. "Maya, pack your things," Lila said coldly. "You're leaving. I don't want to ever see you again." Their mother looked confused. "Lila, stop it. You're sisters." But Lila ignored her. "She's dead to me," she said, turning away. Maya could barely stand. Her heart felt like it was being crushed. She wanted to explain, to make Lila understand that she never wanted this, that Derek had taken advantage of her weakness, but no words could fix it now. She went to her room, tears blurring her vision, and pulled out her small suitcase. Her hands shook as she folded her clothes and packed them in silence. Every item she touched reminded her of her family, her sister, the life she was losing. Her mother stood by the doorway, tears in her eyes, but she didn't ask questions. She just said softly, "Maya, whatever this is, you two need to talk. Don't let anger destroy you." But it was too late. When Maya zipped up her suitcase, she felt emptier than ever. She wasn't just leaving her home. She was leaving behind the only family she ever had. As she stepped out of the door, the guilt hit her like a wave. Not just guilt for what had happened with Derek, but guilt for the pain she had caused Lila, the sister who once shared her secrets, her laughter, and her childhood dreams. The house that once felt warm now felt like a graveyard of memories. And as Maya walked away, she whispered to herself, "I'll never forgive myself for this." Lila planned her revenge carefully. She couldn't sleep after confronting Maya. Her heart was full of anger and pain. All she could think about was how her own sister had betrayed her. She wanted Maya to feel the same humiliation she felt, and she knew exactly how to do it. So at the wedding reception, when the music played and guests laughed, Lila put on her sweetest smile. She walked to the stage, her white dress shining under the lights. She grabbed the microphone and looked around the room. "Before we make a toast," she said cheerfully, "my dear sister Maya has something very special to share with everyone." Maya froze at her table. Her hands turned cold. She whispered to herself, "Please don't do this." But it was too late. Lila turned to her with a fake smile. "Come on, Maya," she said loudly. "Tell everyone your wonderful news." The crowd turned their heads, curious. Some even pulled out their phones to record. Maya slowly stood up, shaking. She wanted to run, but her feet wouldn't move. Then Lila spoke again, her voice sharp. "Congratulations, Maya," she said, her smile fading. "You're about to be a mommy." Gasps filled the hall. The laughter stopped. Whispering spread quickly from table to table. Maya's eyes filled with tears as she covered her face, but before she could say anything, Derek suddenly stood up. His face was pale. He walked toward the stage. Everyone watched him, wondering what he was about to say. Lila turned to him, expecting him to deny everything, to protect her. But instead he looked straight at Maya, then at the crowd. "She's telling the truth," Derek said quietly but clearly. "Maya is pregnant. And I'm the father." The room exploded in shock. Guests gasped, others shouted. Cameras flashed. The band stopped playing. Someone dropped a glass, and it shattered on the floor. Lila's smile disappeared. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. She just stood there, frozen, her face pale as snow. Maya's knees went weak. "Derek, stop!" she cried, shaking her head. "Please don't do this here." But Derek didn't stop. His eyes were full of guilt and tears. "I'm sorry," he said loudly. "It was one night. I made a terrible mistake, and I couldn't live with the lie anymore." The crowd murmured louder now. Some guests covered their mouths in shock. Others stared at Maya with pity. Lila's parents stood still, not believing what they had just heard. Lila finally found her voice. You're lying," she stammered. "This isn't true. Tell them it's not true." But Derek didn't answer. His silence was the answer. Lila's hands started shaking. She looked at Maya with rage and heartbreak mixed in her eyes. "You destroyed my life," she whispered. "My own sister." Maya was crying uncontrollably now. "I'm sorry, Lila," she sobbed. "I never meant for this to happen. Please believe me. I didn't want this." But Lila wasn't listening. She screamed and threw her bouquet onto the floor. Guests stepped back, afraid the situation would get worse. Derek tried to reach for her, but she pushed him away. "Don't touch me," she yelled. "You ruined me." The whole hall was silent again, except for Lila's sobs echoing in the microphone. Maya couldn't take it anymore. She turned and ran out of the hall, tears blinding her eyes. Her whole body felt heavy, her heart breaking into pieces. Behind her, Lila collapsed onto the floor, surrounded by her torn wedding dress and broken dreams. The band stopped playing. The lights dimmed. Guests whispered, unsure whether to leave or stay. Derek stood alone in the middle of the stage, guilt written all over his face. He looked at the mess around him. The woman he betrayed, the woman he hurt, and the family he destroyed. And in that silence, it became clear. There was no wedding anymore. Only heartbreak, shame, and truth that could never be taken back. Weeks later, Maya moved away to another city. She stayed with a close friend who gave her a small room and a warm bed. It wasn't much, but it felt safe, something she hadn't felt in a long time. The noise and pain from the wedding were still fresh in her mind. Every time she closed her eyes, she could still hear Lila crying, see Derek's face, and feel the weight of shame pressing on her chest. But slowly, she began to take small steps toward healing. She started therapy. The first few sessions were hard. She could barely speak without breaking down. But as the weeks went by, she began to open up. She talked about the guilt she carried, the loneliness, and how she wished she could undo everything. Her therapist reminded her that mistakes don't define a person forever. What matters is what you do next. Maya began to focus on her future. She started a part-time job at a small bookstore and spent her evenings writing in a journal. Each page helped her release a bit of her pain. She promised herself one thing. She would raise her child with love, honesty, and peace, no matter what it took. Meanwhile, back home, Lila's life was falling apart. The scandal from the wedding spread quickly. People whispered about her everywhere she went. Derek filed for divorce before the honeymoon even began, saying he couldn't face the shame. Lila felt humiliated and alone. Their mother, heartbroken by everything that had happened, decided to visit Maya. When she arrived, Maya was surprised. She hadn't expected to see her again so soon. Her mother looked tired, older, her eyes filled with regret. She took Maya's hands and said softly, "I failed you both. I spent so many years comparing you and Lila that I forgot you both needed love, not judgment." Maya's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, she felt truly heard. "It wasn't your fault, Mom," she said quietly. "We all made mistakes." Her mother nodded, holding her tightly. That hug, simple and warm, felt like the beginning of something new. Over the next few weeks, Maya found a calm rhythm in her life. She would take long walks, talk to her baby growing inside her, and read books about hope and forgiveness. She realized that forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It meant freeing herself from the chains of pain that had held her for so long. One night, After sitting by her window watching the sunset, Maya decided to write a letter to Lila. Her hands shook as she held the pen. She didn't know if Lila would ever read it, but she had to write it anyway. "Dear Lila," she began. "I'm sorry for the pain I caused you. I never wanted to hurt you. What happened between Derek and me was never out of love. It was a mistake, one I'll regret for the rest of my life. But I also forgive myself for being silent when I should have spoken. I hope one day you can forgive me too. Not for me, but for your own peace." When she finished, Maya felt lighter. She folded the letter carefully and mailed it the next morning. As she walked back home, the sun shone gently on her face. For the first time in months, she smiled. She didn't know what the future would bring, but she knew one thing. She was no longer running from her past. She was moving forward, ready to build a new life for herself and her child. Maya held her newborn daughter in her arms as the first light of morning filled the small room. The sky was painted in soft shades of pink and gold, and for the first time in a long while, everything felt calm. Her baby stirred gently, tiny fingers curling around hers. Maya smiled through tears that rolled down her cheeks. Not from sadness, but from peace. The pain, the guilt, the sleepless nights, all of it had led to this moment. She looked out the window at the sunrise and whispered softly, "You're my new beginning." The words felt like a promise, to her daughter, to herself, and to the life she was rebuilding one quiet day at a time. Miles away, Lila stood on her balcony, watching the same sunrise. Her eyes were red from crying, but in her hand, she held Maya's letter, now creased and marked with her tears. She had read it many times. At first, she wanted to tear it apart, but each time she read it, her anger faded a little more. Today, as the warm light touched her face, she finally let out a deep breath. A soft smile broke through her tears. For the first time, she didn't feel hatred, only sadness, and something that felt like understanding. Two sisters, once torn apart by betrayal, now stood under the same morning sky, both learning to heal in their own way. The world outside was quiet, almost still, as if giving them space to start over. And as the camera metaphorically fades, Maya's gentle voice echoes in the air. Sometimes the truth doesn't destroy us. It sets us free, even when it breaks everything first. Ibas Dias. Two Hearts, thanks so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional stories. See you in the next one. Bye. Waving hand.